Talks on the sidelines of the G7 summit will mark Mr. Modi's first in-person meeting with the Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney and could give both the chance to mend their ties since a fallout in 2023. Canada's then Prime Minister Justin Trudeau accused India of ordering the killing of a Sikh activist on Canadian soil. Allegations denied by New Delhi. Prime Minister Modi also scheduled for other bilateral meetings where he says he will emphasise, and I quote him, priorities of the global south. And Neha Poonia joins us live from New Delhi. Neha, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi possibly hoping, or we suggest, a reset of ties with Canada. Could that happen on the sidelines of this G7 meeting?
You know, this visit is very high on expectations, and it's also likely to be very high on optics. Like you were saying, this is Prime Minister Narendra Modi's first meeting with Mark Carney, but also his first visit to Canada in nearly a decade. In the last couple of years, we've seen how ties between India and Canada plummeted to record lows over those allegations leveled by Justin Trudeau's government, accusing Indian agents of being involved in the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar on Canadian soil, a prominent Sikh separatists. Now, India has repeatedly rejected those allegations as absurd, but with Mark Carney coming to power, many were hoping that this would be the opportunity to reset what has historically been a very cordial relationship between India and Canada. We did see how Mr. Modi expressed similar optimism before he left for Canada as well. He's now set to sit down with Mark Carney in the early hours of Wednesday morning local time, and a lot of expectation from that bilateral meeting, because both sides have indicated some areas they want addressed. Reports suggest that they're working on setting up a working group that will look at transnational crimes. And this, experts say, will give both sides the room to raise their respective concerns. From India's side, the allegation has always been that Canada has allowed Sikh separatist groups that promote the idea of a separate Sikh state within India to flourish, and that many of these groups are carrying out illegal activities targeting India and Indian nationals abroad. Canada's allegation has been that there have been concerns about India's alleged role in killings on foreign soil, and a judicial process for that has been set up. So many are hoping that both sides will be able to raise their respective concerns, but behind closed doors, and keep the focus very much on resetting this relationship and moving ahead.
And here, because as India's Prime Minister, it's natural that Mr. Modi would be speaking for Indian ties, but he has also increasingly taken on the mantle as the leader of the global south. So interestingly, speaking ahead of bilateral meetings at the G7, he says he will emphasize, quote, priorities of the global south. So what would he be hoping to achieve beyond immediate interests of his own country?
Absolutely. I mean, experts you speak to and even sources within the government will acknowledge that, increasingly there's a realization that India plays a very pivotal role on the world stage. We're talking about one of the fastest growing economies, the world's most populous nation, and, a country that is increasingly becoming key, especially for Western countries, when it comes to balancing, China's role in the Indo-Pacific. And India very conscious of that. This mantle of being the spokesperson for the global south dates back to India's G20 presidency, where Prime Minister Modi really owned that role. And even now, it's understood that he will raise issues such as inclusive development, climate action, and geopolitical cooperation. It's also important to remember that increasingly, especially in the developing world, countries are looking at the West with a fair amount of concern, given the deep divisions that exist between the G7, experts are saying. And this is where India's role becomes key. He's going to be meeting at the sidelines of the G7 summit leaders of countries like Ukraine, Germany, and Italy, and he will be discussing not just bilateral issues with them, but also concerns that countries within the global south have expressed, especially over issues like the Iran-Israel military conflict. But also increasingly important, this is happening after India's military conflict with Pakistan, and that's also something that Mr. Modi is expected to raise.
All right, thanks for that. Neha Poonia from New Delhi. They're looking at what's on Mr. Modi's to-do list as he visits Canada on the sidelines of this G7 meeting.